mortgage broker, very important, and it's very important to find a good mortgage broker.
It's like probably the most. Oh, I don't know. We'd have to weigh up what's more important: buyer's agent versus mortgage broker versus solicitor. There's
even property manager. They're really important too.
Yeah. So mortgage broker. There's a few things that you need to do to select a good mortgage broker, and we'll get some mortgage brokers on.
Yeah. The people that we work with listen to this podcast and coming for you.
They're hungry to get on. They're just like, oh, what? Like, I need to come and chat.
Yeah, we all like sharing knowledge, but what I really want to try and cover with the mortgage broker, and Jaryd has been through a few himself, and that was because you've purchased through multiple different entities as well, so there's different specialists for different entities. And you can appreciate the quality that you deal with, right?
I think it's also really good to compare a couple because your style might suit another. Like you might connect better with a different mortgage broker in your communication, and like you got each. Like if you're going to get a mortgage broker for commercial deals, you might go for a different one for resi, right?
Yep.
And that's pretty important. So what else are we looking for in a mortgage broker?
Well, I've got a few points in my head. So not all are created equal, obviously. In order to become a mortgage broker, it's a diploma certificate that might take a couple of months to complete. So the barrier to entry is not that high. As a mortgage broker, you have to sit under another licensed broker for 2 years once you get that qualification to get those experience. So I generally say to clients, look, they need to have at least 4 years experience because they've got enough knowledge at that point. And they've also been around for at least a few years because the industry, like the fallout rate generally happens within a few years. So minimum 4 years experience on that front. And it's really important to have them, as we're just talking about, experienced in your strategy. So if you're looking for a residential under your personal name, obviously there's a person for that. If it's under a trust structure, there's a person for that. Doing commercial, there's a person for that. So and the reason why is that not one broker can be across multiple different loan products. I mean, there's thousands of different loan products out there, and generally they specialize in a certain few products with bank business development managers. So they've got those strong relationships to help get those good deals over the line in a quicker time. So they're really valuable, and they also have done it day in, day out. So they know what comes next, so they can coach you through that process, and it definitely eases your, anxiety when you're paying hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for a property, right?
Yeah, they basically babysit you through the process because they tell you this is what you need and when you need it and how you need to present it to us as a mortgage broker. They basically get all your stuff. And I'm saying stuff in air quotes here because with our finances, personal finances, it's everywhere. It's all over the shop typically for everyone. And they've got a pretty crazy job. They've got to get it all put together and presentable for the bank to go, this human's worth, and where they're at, we can lend to them. Also, I think the value in a mortgage broker, finance broker is, I think you're crazy not to use one because when you go and if you're just going to go straight to the bank and try to do it all yourself, you're going to get pushed to the back of the queue in terms of getting pre-approval versus a lender, a mortgage broker linking up with a lender that they speak to regularly. They can get it done in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
or less sometimes.
Diversity of products too. So if you go into a bank, I mean, I've worked for a bank, and they've got products, but they're not always the best products. And it's always good to shop around. And the mortgage broker, what makes them so great and why their participation rate is rising dramatically. I think close to 90% of loans are now done through a mortgage broker. So
wow.
It's a free service for the client in that sense because they get paid by the banks. So they take a commission on whatever loan right that they do. And there's a few different things about that people don't understand as well. So you got to be, people misunderstand the broker's position and the time and effort that goes into getting that loan across the line, because if you refinance and change to a different bank within 12 months, they get their commission clawed back, as you know. We can talk about that one.
I smile and laugh because I did not know this, and I was like, "Oh, I want a better deal," and I changed mortgage brokers, and I just had no idea. And my old mortgage broker called me up and was like, "Dude, what the hell?" And I was very regretful. So that's a mistake on my part. Maybe a mistake, but also I did get a better deal somewhere else.
And that's also to say, well, that first one, I wasn't aware of who it was, but I mean, it's a shame that happened to him. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you can be better at your job and build better service, and it wasn't just the rate; it was also the communication from memory.
Yeah, it was, and when he called me up, he asked for my feedback, and I said, dude, I'm just going to give you straight up constructive criticism and constructive feedback, because that's what I ask from everybody in my business. Like, why are we crap? Like, why do we suck? Tell us, please. I really want to know so we can fix that. So I was just straight up with him, and he's like, yeah, through that process, the communication with somebody he did put on was not great at the time. And I just don't think they really understood. Like, I try to communicate my goals in how I wanted to grow my property portfolio for the long term. And they just wanted me to go with a big four bank for a good platform, which I understand, but it was also going to restrict me as well moving forwards in getting future lending. So that's a really, really important thing to get, is like, sometimes the brokers might communicate, yeah, I get where you're at and I'll do this for you. And then you get this loan product that's like, oh, wow, like that's going to hinder my borrowing capacity in the future for maybe property 3 or 4.
Yeah, and so you obviously through the coaching process understood that, but Joe Public, they're so busy with their day-to-day lives, they don't think, they just go in, they expect every mortgage broker's the same, they turn their screen around and they see all the different products, and you get to maybe pick which one you want. But it doesn't just end there, because there's multiple different aggregators. So, it's just one of those things, as we talked about. You don't know what you don't know, so now you know.
Now I know. Yeah, and I did feel bad. And he missed out on his commission, and they did a lot of work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it wasn't exactly the perfect fit for me too. So
so the general rule is first 12 months, if you refinance, they pull all their commission back from them. After 12 months, they pull half. After 2 years, they can't pull any of it. So, I always say it's always good to look at your mortgage rate every 12 months anyway, just to see if there's better deals. But if you are doing that within that 12-month period, it's good to go back to the broker that you initially went through and build that relationship with, because then they can get that commission on the refinance, so it's no real sweat off their back.
Yeah. And I think it's just worth every time. Like, this is what I've learnt with mortgage brokers, is every time I speak to them, it's worth me reiterating what my goals are, because the amount of people that they deal with that have different goals is they just put us into a category of like, yep, cool, I get it. You want to buy a residential property. It's just the same, your cookie cutter approach, every one size fits all. And I get what you're up to, and I know what you need to do, and I'm the expert here. So I'll do it how it's supposed to be done. And I think it's worth every time sometimes you might sound a bit like annoying, but if they don't really know where you're at, then they're not gonna do those nuanced changes or look at different things they could do in the strategy to set you up for the long term, thinking with the end in mind.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, like on average, probably like people that buy an investment property, they get to one. Like 95% of people get to
don't get past one.
Get past one, right? So whilst everyone has these intentions, they say these things to them, they're also super busy at the moment. Most mortgage brokers are off their feet.
What's crazy, because through COVID, it was just slowed down so much because there was so much volume going through, and then also the amount of times that the rates had changed through 2022. Mortgage brokers, unfortunately, like having to fight so much to reassess each application.
Yeah,
So
and
crazy.
people are going, oh, my mortgage has gone up, 4%, and I'm like $900 a month extra, and what can I do? And people are, like, good on them for actually standing up and saying, hey, I want a better rate, because I mean, you can negotiate your mortgage rate lower as well. And I mean, there's a YouTube video of me out there in the EOS somewhere talking about how you can negotiate them down. And if you don't want to get on the phone and call the bank yourself, you can go to your trusted broker, and they can twiddle the back end, and that also saves you time as well. Just to mention that one, they can do their effort, and it saves you maybe 2 hours on the phone.
Yeah, I actually literally did that 3 weeks ago.
Man.
There was just my two properties that I've got. I was like, let's get this sorted. And I even, because I had settled on one, what
was that?
3 months ago?
Yeah,
I settled on one 3 months ago, and I was just cheeky, and I said to him, look, I don't know if it's too early to look at like asking for a better rate. And he's like, let's give it a go. And yeah. It wasn't much less. We got less, but it wasn't much less. I can't remember because there was 2 of them we did. Yeah.
That's always good, especially after that hiking cycle.
It was high though. It was still higher than
too high. It's always too high. Your banks.
Well, I'm on interest. I'm on interest only for both of those, so it's more than what people are paying P&I.
Yeah, and that's a strategy for Jaryd too. So, I mean, we'll talk about strategies in another session.
Yeah.
But interest only, principal interest, very common questions which we can break down.